Connie from MzansiOz Diaries, Justice Unmuted. Now, let's continue with this Democratic Alliance saga in South Africa. The threats that they actually put towards the ANC, threatening Ramaphosa's position, wanting to kick him out through a motion of no confidence. They think they've got the numbers. I don't know whether they know how to count. Sometimes I wonder if they know how to count the numbers. They've got 87 seats. 87 seats. So if they have 87 seats, they need other partners outside of the GNU. The GNU partners and other partners to actually for this motion to succeed. So they need to actually persuade at least 87 members of the GNU bloc to vote against President Ramaphosa or rely on mass defections or absence within the GNU to pass the motion of no confidence. They do not have the number. So the current seats in the National Assemblies, the MKP has about 58 seats, Democratic Alliance has 87 seats, Freedom Front Plus have about 6 seats. That makes the total about 151. I've mentioned these parties because I think they could support this motion of no confidence. The MKP still has a very strong bid against Cyril Ramaphosa. You will hear from the MKP spokesperson. They always had an issue, a beef. This one is personal for them, so they want to make sure that Ramaphosa doesn't complete his second term, just like is Jacob Zuma, who did not complete his second term. So this is personal for them. And they have come out and said they would vote for this motion of no confidence. So they would then have Freedom Front Plus would then vote. They have 6 seats. So the total for this is 151. For this motion of no confidence to succeed, DA, they need about 201 out of 400 seats. It's needed. 201 out of 400 seats are needed for this motion of no confidence to succeed. Let's listen to the MKP spokesperson.
MzansiOz party has welcomed the DA's threat to call for a vote of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa.
We've stated categorically and consistently so that the man is not fit for the job. In actual fact, we've been calling for a motion of confidence ourselves. What will be interesting to see is if we call for a motion of no confidence, if the DA would vote with us. Because again, from what I heard when you listened to their presser this afternoon, it just, you can't go and give a president an ultimatum and then you come back with very cheap shots. And I mean, quite honestly, if you look at it, it's nothing more than just scarecrow politics. And that's what the DA is doing here. They're just nothing else but scarecrows. If they're serious, they should call for a motion of no confidence and stop these scarecrow tendencies. And we can then, realize that they're actually serious about what their stance is on this president.
So EFF have said no, but no thanks, because they think that DA is acting as an anarchy, unreasonable, which I've said it as well. They're unreasonable the way they're acting, because this is embarrassing for a party that says they're for a rule of law to allow the minister to actually undermine the president and take an international trip and meet with the foreign operative without permission from the president, without a president giving him a go-ahead, a stamp of approval. This is a very known rule in international diplomacy, that a minister cannot go overseas and interact with foreign leaders without permission of a country. It's true in Australia, it's true in the UK, it's true in Canada, it's true in America. Even in America, the Logan Act actually, they can even prosecute a person and put the person in jail if the person were found to be negotiating with foreign powers on behalf without permission from the US government. So this is a very known thing for them. Instead of them realizing that they are the person, the deputy minister was wrong and give send an alternative person to take up this position, they decided to act like 3-year-old and throw tantrum. This is tantrum for all. I mean, this is embarrassing for a leader, for the opposition party to act in this manner. I mean, the DA, it's like the MAGA of South Africa, literally the MAGA of South Africa. It's so embarrassing. They're like Donald Trump of South Africa. I mean, jeez, unbelievable. These people, they are so embarrassing. Let's listen to EFF.
They have no reason to complain. They went into a marriage and knowing very well that they are going with an ANC corrupt government into a marriage. These are unnecessary threats. If the DA was anti-corruption, the DA was pro-poor, the DA was to ensure that they will restore the dignity of our people, they should have allowed the ANC to govern as a minority party. There was nothing forcing them to go into government. They should have stood outside and allowed the ANC to constitute its own government and continue to oppose the ANC if they want to do so. You cannot oppose the government you are part of. They are in government. Whatever decision Ramaphosa takes, they are part of that decision because they decided to be part of this mess. So if they don't want the mess, they must stay outside and then allow the ANC to do a minority government. The ANC has got a minority government in Gauteng. The DA, they refuse to work with the DA. So the DA can freely express itself without any hesitation because they are not part of government. How do you become part of government and travel overseas without the permission of a president? That is not government. That is anarchy. And when you are being punished in line with what the president is responsible for, you complain. They just want to run like they are a government on their own. There is no president. There is a president here. Whether they like him or not, they voted for him. And then they have to respect him and respect the government protocols. They don't want that. They must step out and let the ANC do its own mess. And then we all oppose it collectively.
So from EFF, they are anarchy. Now with the Patriotic Alliance, whose the leader is Gayton McKenzie, Deputy President Kunene said the same thing, that they're not going to support any motion of no confidence to the president. So really, where is this 201 seats to vote for motion of confidence against Ramaphosa, to remove Ramaphosa, would come from for DA? No, it wouldn't come from anywhere. Nobody is going to vote for this. I mean, Malema said they should not have joined. Like I said, if you think ANC is corrupt, why did you join? Joining a corrupt organization and saying that that organization is corrupt, it's actually it's really bad, really bad. I think. For it doesn't look good from my point of view, because you just cannot ethically or sustainably join in partnership with a party or people that you think they are corrupt, that you've been publicly humiliating them without even harming your own credibility. because their credibility is actually been, destroyed in the eyes of a lot of South African citizens, politicians alike. The DA, it actually has no credibility. It's lost credibility because it just looks a little bit like a hypocrisy. You think you've got a rule of law, but why did you allow your minister to go overseas and meet up with the foreign power operative without permission from the president? Huh? You are in partnership with Ramaphosa. Partnership equal legitimacy. You've legitimized the ANC. You've given it the stamp of approval. So, by staying, you have given this corruption that you're crying about a veneer of credibility. You are tied to Ramaphosa's decisions and consequences. And on top of that, I just found out they even voted for this talk shop which I was talking about the other day. That how could they even allow this to happen, to vote for this, for to spend about nearly 1 billion rands on a talk show. Nobody wants this stuff. People want this money to be spent on services, all right, and fighting crime in the border. So no. I mean, obviously these people are crazy. So DA is the MAGA of South Africa. Oh my goodness. Ooh, holy crap. Holy shit. It is the MAGA. They don't have the brain, these people. Unbelievable. Ridiculous. So why are they still in this government? I could think that they're benefiting from this corruption. It's benefiting them, this corruption. Public accusation without leadership is actually weak leadership. If you accuse somebody without any action, it is actually weak leadership. I don't care what they say. They've demonstrated that, they're just so weak. So that, they're so weak. So you cannot fight corruption while enabling it. You cannot. To lead with integrity, your words, your actions must align. Even if it costs your power and your position as a minister or comfort in the short term. I don't know about these blue lights. It looks like blue lights. There's something about these blue lights that makes politicians go crazy. But I don't think it's blue lights. I just think we've got the MAGA. They're so dumb. I mean, so dumb. Seriously. How can you do this? That's the reason. I mean, I've known this. They're so dumb. If they were smarter, they would have. I mean, I don't think ANC would still be in government. It would still be a competitive uh, electorate, competitive. I mean, yeah, with the performance, ANC's performance, if DA was really competitive, we wouldn't be having an opposition, second opposition being around 22%. That is not competition. A competition is the main party being 40, 45%, the other one being 40. 5% margin difference. That's a competition. That is the competition. You cannot be half of the percentage of the biggest party and still call yourself an opposition. That is the reason here is because of this dumpster fire here. Ultimatum to the president after your own minister undermined the clause that existed for decades that you could not do that. You could not go and travel if the minister and meet up with these people in the White House and think that Ramaphosa will be okay with that. You'll be fired. You're fired. And Ramaphosa was rightful so to do so. It's within his right to fire you. Go, go, go. You're fired, gone. Okay? Don't care who you are. You're fired and gone. Okay? Even those people from, they are what they call them VF plus, that those one who are in the White House and going about, I hope they're there. They got a permission, because if they didn't receive any permission, Ramaphosa should fire them too. They should go. Because I had a look at this. I don't think even I don't think the ANC needs the DA. In fact, the ANC doesn't need the DA, doesn't need Freedom Fund Plus, doesn't need the MKP, doesn't need EFF. So it doesn't need all of that. It only needs two parties. If those people goes, it could get if those two parties that I've mentioned, DA, EFF, MKP, Freedom Front Plus, they're all not part of the GNU, the ANC could still make the government a minority government with need only 8 seats. They could get those 6 seats from Action SA. They could get another 2 seats from another party, or ATM has another two seats. So they could get seats from another party to make up this government. So they really do not need anything from the DA whatsoever. My goodness, to be threatened in this manner, because this is kind of like somebody trying to threaten you. I mean, they could have either party just have Action SA. They could add Action SA there and Bosa, ATM, Bosa, or other party, and then end up about 210 of that. So really, they do not need this crap. So why, for God's sake, this money that you get from this the Oppenheimer, it is so big that you guys cannot think clearly. The ANC and DA, they receive the same funding from the same group of people. This cartel called the Oppenheimer, they fund them. So it's the same thing. ANC equal DA. DA equal the ANC. They're just the same thing. Just opposite, just different skin tone. Same bloody thing. That's why they act like this. They are tied to the hip together because of this money from the Oppenheimers. And they can't even think clearly. Because there's no reason that ANC would have actually allowed DA or Freedom Fund Plus to be in its GNU, because at this moment it's chaotic. It's not even, we're not even close. Just over a year, for God's sake, over a year. We are here for these people still fighting like little kids. Oh my goodness, it's crazy.
Patriotic Alliance has got the propensity to want to be in the media space by bringing motions of no confidence. We saw in Johannesburg this week, they sponsored a motion of no confidence against the mayor of Johannesburg, knowing exactly that they don't have the numbers. Now they want to do the same with President Ramaphosa. That must be condemned in the strongest of terms. President Ramaphosa has acted within his constitutional powers and mandate. He cannot be undermined the way that the minister or the deputy minister had undermined him. And therefore, as the president, he had to act. The rules are very clear, the law is very clear. So for Helen Zille to think that she will use her white supremacist tendencies to undermine the election of the president Cyril Ramaphosa must be condemned. She will not succeed. The president has done nothing wrong. It is the DA that should have spoken to their ministers and deputy ministers and made them aware that it is very important to abide with the law when it comes to traveling and other matters that actually govern ministers and deputy ministers.
And that we cannot trust parties whose hands are dirty with their apartheid policies.
Mr. Hendricks, I want to bring in Kenny Kunene as well. I mean, what's your take on that, Mr. Kunene? I think, you know, some would say South Africans want to be governed by those who can, at this stage, deliver services, who can do the jobs that need to be done, who can clamp down on corruption, make sure hospitals function, make sure we have clean water and sanitation.
Indeed. Indeed, that's what South Africans want. That is why some of us on the ground at local government, we are doing our best. That is why the minister deployed by the Patriotic Alliance, Gayton McKenzie, is doing his utmost best also. That is what South Africans want. But you see, the DA threatened the president of the country, gave an ultimatum to the president of the country. All of us expected that the DA will walk away from the GNU. We were surprised by the waste of time that the DA made for the people of South Africa to say they are withdrawing from the national dialogue. When we give such an ultimatum, the expectation is that you walk away from the marriage. They are still here because they have tasted power. Now, the second time, the DA is not only threatening the president, it's threatening the country. They are saying that Helen Zille said they threatened to pass a motion of no confidence on the president, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa. And they are saying that will also collapse government, which means the DA is now threatening South Africans. These threats must not be taken lightly by the president, by the government of national unity and South Africans. The DA is showing that it does not care about South Africans. They care about themselves and their deputy ministers and ministers. They are not putting the country first.
All right, let's pause our conversation.
Say that if you are going to vote against the budget, if you are going to put a motion of no confidence against the president, it means you are basically defining yourself outside of the GNU.
Right.
And therefore the GNU must then make that simple decision that we made as the government of local unity here in Johannesburg. And we said, this is time that the GNU stop this abuse by the DA. The DA is abusing the GNU. I think President Ramaphosa and the GNU must now take a bold step and get rid of the DA within the GNU because they don't want to live by themselves.
Well, Mr. Hendricks, I want you to weigh in on this because what Mr. Kunene is saying is that the DA is acting as an opposition in the government of national unity. But would it then also not be fair to say that the ANC is acting as if it is a government, a majority government in what is meant to be a coalition government? Mr. Hendricks, are you still there? Can you hear us?
Yes. You know, Almal was one of the last parties to join the GNU. After 5 or 6 delegations of the ANC met with us, because our position was that a government of national unity, including the Democratic Alliance and those who supported apartheid, is not going to work, and that there should be a minority government, because that's what the voters voted for. So parties like the EFF and MK and the ANC must all come home to a governing structure that comes out of the liberation movement. And it's a pity that the EFF and MK has created a space for a Democratic Alliance to govern South Africa. We were sick and tired of the apartheid government, and we are sick and tired of the DA trying to govern us, sharing power without losing control, and that's what they're doing. The Honorable Steenhuisen is trying to outdo Donald Trump by what he's done now. He's not going to succeed.
Kenny Kunene, the point of the matter is if we look at the numbers in the National Assembly, and that's why I don't think it's a fair assessment to compare what's happening at national level to what's happening, for example, in the city of Johannesburg, the GLU, as you call it. Because in the National Assembly, the DA does have the numbers, particularly if, indeed, there are other parties who are willing to vote with the Democratic Alliance with its 87 seats.
Michelle, even at local government in Johannesburg, the DA passed a motion with the hope that other parties will vote with them. It failed. Mm-hmm. It is the same. There's no difference. The DA alone cannot pass a motion of no confidence. The DA depends on other parties to do so. And the DA is hoping that the hatred of MK, the hatred of the EFF on Matamela will then join them in passing the motion. But I think that MK and EFF have now woken up that they too cannot be used by Madam Helen Zille. They are waking up that they cannot be used, their vote cannot be used and abused by Madam Helen Zille. They will not, and I believe that they will not vote with the motion against the president because they claim to be revolutionary movements, progressive organizations. So how are they then going to support the motion of a white supremacist racist in Helen Zille? I don't see it happening.
So, Mr. Kunene, if this was your leader, the Patriotic Alliance leader, who was fired unilaterally for, let's say, doing the same thing, taking an unauthorized trip, and if you compared it to the treatment of other ministers, particularly ANC ministers, how they've been treated in the past, been given a chance to explain, been moved to different portfolios, would your reaction be the same?
This is not the first time this thing is happening. We would. If a PA minister traveled without telling the president, we will accept. In fact, our president, who is the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, the most vibrant minister in this country, when he took a holiday trip with his family, not a government trip, he still informed the president that he was going out of the country because he understands that he must be disciplined and he must respect the rules that have been given to him as a minister. So we will deal with the minister internally whilst the president is dealing with the minister. Mm-hmm. We will deal with the deputy minister internally because that would have embarrassed the party for the minister to leave without telling the president. So instead of the DA accepting that their deputy minister was arrogant and rude and disrespectful towards the president, they are busy here making threats. We are not going to allow that.
All right, let me thank both of our guests this afternoon for helping us understand some of the sentiment taking place by other...
Fun fact of the day. This is a blatant lie by Helen Zille. Andrew Whitfield was dismissed because he undermined the presidency. He asked for permission to go to the US. He followed up several times. He was not given the yes. He still went. He came back. He even said that he knew that going was going to be on his own. And she can still come out and tell a blatant lie. And now the DA wonders why so many people don't vote for them anymore.